40, and I
Sorry to
treated
hear
him
that.
at the office, and he had all the signs and symptoms. And every time I lecture, I always tell this story. He had all the signs and symptoms of someone with an airway and sleep issue. He snored, high blood pressure, acid reflux.
Angels and demons fighting in the deep end. I turn all my weakness into something I believe in. Every scar, every doubt, that's fuel when I speak. Welcome to the battle where the broken get free. Yeah.
Welcome to the Angels and Demons podcast. I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Martin. Dr. Martin, so good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. I would love you to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I have an interesting story. Everyone always asks me, share a bio. And I always say my bio is my story. So was in the Navy. They paid for me to go to dental school. Had a great career in the Navy. Got out of the Navy, moved to Manhattan, New York. Started a practice from scratch. I had $2,020 in my bank account, put my name on the door and crossed my fingers.
Wow.
I want to say if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. I just didn't know any better. Ended up training with some amazing people. Went out to COIS, which is a continuum that dentists go to further their education. Met some incredible people. Ended up in a pros practice in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue, 2 in-house ceramists doing incredible dentistry.
What an experience.
Yeah, and one of the guys that I taught with, every time we would discuss really complex cases, he'd be like, the person has an airway problem. Next case, airway problem. I'm like, dude, what the heck are you talking
about? As a dentist. He's
as
saying
a dentist. And
wow.
I'm like, I don't care about that. I just care about doing my veneers and crowns. Well, after the
In how many years, not to interrupt, but how many years as a dentist?
15 years after I got out of the Navy.
And he keeps saying this, airway problem.
And he does. And after the 50th time, I'm like, explain to me this airway thing. And he starts explaining it to me. And I realize that the things that we see every day in a dental office, so people that grind their teeth, wear, high vaulted palate, could be an airway problem. And I ended up doing all these airway and sleep residencies. And I ended up selling my dental practice to go back to school to do orthodontics and craniofacial orthopedics to treat snoring and sleep apnea, because I realized that so many of the patients that are coming in snoring sleep apnea, they're grinding their teeth.
Yes.
And I mistreated that for 15 years as a restorative dentist.
Man, I grind my teeth all the time. Now that you mention it, all the time. Wow. What an incredible experience. So you started to recognize that the signs and symptoms you find with sleep and breathing issues are from, like, what would be those signs?
So the simple thing as a dentist is people that clench and grind their teeth, because that's something that every single person watching your podcast probably could relate to. And it's something that when I ask
I'm over
people,
here grinding right now.
Well, why do you grind your teeth? What's the answer most people give me?
Stress.
Yeah, but it's stress from suffocating, because think about it. We see 3- and 4-year-olds that grind their teeth, and I always ask, like, did the 3-year-old have a tough day at the office? The 3- and 4-year-old, and we'll talk about kids, it's a tonsil and adenoid issue. And a lot of times it's an anatomical issue, because if you start looking at kids, their faces are very convex.
Yes.
So I think the other part of why I'm super excited to be here is that people see their dentist more than they see their physician.
Yes.
And I think it's a captive audience. So someone like you, I always say, frontline defense for this.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And for our listeners, mental health and sleep, there is nothing stronger that correlates. 1/3 of people struggle with sleep issues. Dr. Martin, has 25 years as a dentist, is recognizing, sacrificing that time, and then devoting it to be a sleep expert. That's incredible that you had the vision and love for your patients, that you wanted to go after solving this problem. And what was the key motivator, would you say, for that?
So I think a couple of things. I had a couple of patients that died of sleep apnea.
Died?
Here's the thing. Sleep apnea is not on a death certificate.
That's true.
But what is it? It's heart failure.
Yes.
It's other comorbidities. It's high blood pressure. It's acid reflux. The largest cause of Alzheimer's in this country right now, sleep apnea. And if you ask me
That's incredible.
about orthodontics, I actually think orthodontics is so much about brain development. Because if you think about it, your brain is almost fully developed by the age of 5. Early intervention orthodontics could affect so many of these kids. So parents watching, ADD, ADHD. If you think about it, kids aren't getting oxygen to their brain. So it's a cognitive issue. It's a behavior issue. In adults, it's brain fog.
Yes. Yes, and brain fog is a big, big issue because if you're not getting the proper sleep, you're not getting the proper memory. Is that correct? You're not storing, like, if you read the greatest book one week and can't remember it the next, what good was it, you know?
It's not only brain fog, but it's also like dopamine. You know, you go to sleep at night and you wake up at 11 p.m. and you pick up your phone, and I mean, that's the worst thing you could do. And it's always like, I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong freaking room. I really try to...
You sound like Elon Musk.
Well, the fact is, I need to surround myself with way smarter people, and I watch podcasts all the time. I watch Uberman, Matthew Walker. They always talk about, like, sleep hygiene,
yes,
which is amazing.
Yes.
And I'm really fortunate that I was able to kind of develop things to kind of piggyback off the sleep hygiene.
That's incredible. You were instrumental in developing an FDA-cleared oral appliance for sleep apnea. What problems were you trying to solve that existing treatments weren't adequately addressing?
So I could honestly say the device that my partner and I, Michael Gelb, who's a world-famous TMJ and sleep specialist.
His name is one more time?
Michael Gelb.
Michael Gelb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing TMJ specialist, sleep specialist. Him and his dad really pioneered TMJ treatment, and they really kind of developed this whole sleep thing in dentistry. And, you know, I have amazing partners that really help me.
Thank you, Michael Gelb. I mean, It sounds like he was a very big part
he was a visionary. And the mouthpiece that we developed, I always say it's like the bane of my existence. Getting it cleared through the FDA, that is a nightmare.
And you just said you surround yourself with smarter people in the room. You just gave a
Totally.
clear example of that.
Totally.
Here's a gentleman that literally helped pioneer the way.
Yeah, and so Michael and I really launched our company really to teach dentists because, like I said before, captive audience. The fact was we were doing a lot of these other devices, and I realized that they were really bulky, they weren't comfortable, and patients weren't wearing them. So compliance was a big issue. So I looked at, like, what could I do in every single person that walks through the door? Clear aligners.
You're brilliant.
And so the fact is that was kind of the birth of our device. Now we've kind of taken it to another level. We have a new partner who's a sleep tech, Chris Gillette. Amazing person. Because when I walked into his house last year with our old device, he literally is like, why are you guys putting these big chunks of plastic in people's mouths? I'm like, I don't know. That's what we were taught. And he really helped us kind of go in the direction we are now with our new device.
You went instantly to solving the problem. Surrounding yourself with people in the room that are smarter than you and going directly to solving the problem. You're brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's incredible.
I don't know if I'm brilliant. I think, again,
you are.
I've surrounded myself with smart people.
Yeah, because that is such a big issue, and you've just clearly identified the issue, and then you went into developing something to solve the issue. You know, and many patients struggle with that CPAP compliance, you know. And so from your research and clinical experience, why do so many sleep apnea treatments fail despite being technically effective?
So I would tell you gold standard for sleep apnea is CPAP. Compliance is an issue. Why is compliance an issue? First, it needs to be fit by a respiratory therapist. You know, I had a patient last week. He's like, oh, yeah, I got my CPAP on eBay. And I'm like, oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
You know, how's that thing going to work? You know, second is, are they wearing it and does it fit properly? Does the mask leak?
Yes.
So the other thing is, with our device that we developed, I never walk in to talk to a physician and be, hey, we have a device to replace CPAP. We have a device that they could wear with CPAP. So as a dentist, you know this. If you wear CPAP, nothing's holding your jaw forward and your jaw could fall back. So I have a ton of patients right now.
Which can result in death because you can't breathe.
Well, it can, but the other thing is I look at people's CPAP readings and I see their pressure go up, and that's when I know their jaw fell back or they had an event. So I always equate apnea to like a hose, right? I have a drinking hose. The water could run through it. we look at what's called the apnea-hypopnea index. So hypopnea is that your airway is partially closed. That's a kink in the hose. Apnea, the hose is closed. So when your jaw falls back and your tongue falls back,
The weight, gravity
takes over, and that's when people's pressure has to go up. So I always say, if the water pressure in your CPAP is greater than 10 centimeters, one, you really need to look at it, and two, maybe doing something like a device and combination therapy is what a lot of the physicians I work with, that's what we do.
Wow. That's why they think my uncle died, by the way, is because he had the sleep app, but he did not have this device. And it's just, you've identified sleep positioning also as a major missing piece in treatment success.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was a friend of mine who's an ear, nose, and throat doctor, we were treating a friend together, and we made him a device, and he was doing great. And then his wife said he was starting to snore. And I was like, that's interesting. And I love data. So I look at sleep tests all the time. And I was looking at his sleep test, and I realized all of his episodes were when he was supine on his back.
That's interesting.
So my friend told him, put a tennis ball on your T-shirt.
God, tennis ball?
And I'm like, or they sell stuff on Amazon. And I'm like, well.
Sounds painful.
I'm like, but that's weird, because if you roll on your back, you're either going to subconsciously or consciously wake up. It'll break your sleep cycle. So
you know how fast I would take that tennis ball out?
You would, but the fact is you wouldn't end up on your back, though. But the problem is,
I got you.
You asked before about sleep cycles, and it's, there's REM, there's non-REM.
Yes.
Well, in kids, it's the stage right before REM. That's where they produce growth hormone.
Interesting.
And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No,
but
that's a very interesting fact.
In
I did not know
adults,
that.
it's reparative sleep. That's why you have people like Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, LeBron talking about sleep. It's not, hey, I'm going to get sleep and perform better. I'm going to get sleep, and it's going to repair my body.
100%.
So the thing was this. When we were talking about like position, the tennis ball didn't make sense. The thing on Amazon, you could put something on your back. So I said to my friend, I'm like, well, what about a pillow? And he's like, well, what would you do? And I drew it on a piece of paper.
Are you guys listening to this? I mean, really focus in here. I mean, you got to understand, Dr. Martin is solving an issue, a major issue and problem. Like, I just want to make sure everyone's paying attention here.
Yeah.
Because you're nailing in a point here, and I want them to get it.
So I drew it on a piece of paper. My cousin's girlfriend at the time worked as a graphic designer, and I had her create a CAD drawing of the pillow. I took the CAD drawing to my friend from the Navy, and he printed me a huge plastic thing of the pillow.
That's awesome.
And I took it to a fabric store on Long Island, and I cut the fabric out, and I stuffed the pillow, and I literally sewed it there. And that was kind of the birth of our pillow.
What?
I met our current CEO is JD Valella, who was with Tuft & Needle, and then Sealy Serta. And we have a product. We ended up selling out about 6 months ago, and we have our second run, and it's been pretty amazing. The fact is we have objective data on a pillow.
Your brain is firing to get this issue solved. You know what needs to be done, and you're just in the mode of firing off.
The other thing
is... You're stuffing the pillow. Well, you have the drawing.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to what?
Well, we basically manufactured it. We initially started with a company in South Carolina. Then we went to a major company in Nevada. And now we're with an amazing company in Ohio that really believes in our product. And the great thing for me is this. It's access to care.
Yes.
Everyone doesn't have the luxury to go see you and I at our office, but everyone's sleeping on a pillow. And
Very
it's
true.
the easiest barrier to entry for someone that's watching this that is either snoring, they're tired all the time, they're not functioning, they have brain fog. And maybe a pillow could help solve a lot of their problems.
So the open air pillow was born from this insight. What made you realize that a pillow, not another complex medical device, could be the key to improving the outcome? You drew this out, and now how does it implement and improve and solve the problem?
So
you gave the example of the tennis ball. Now the tennis ball is not going to be a part of the situation. Now we have the pillow.
So I sleep tested people. Data. Everyone wants data. Everyone wants evidence-based. So what did I do? I took sleep tests. I had a ring. and I tested people to get a baseline to see where their numbers were. And I had different phenotypes. I had different ages. I had different comorbidities. And I gave them the pillow, unbiased. They never used it. And we had a decrease in 42% of people that snored and had sleep apnea just from a pillow. And when we first did our test, one of the ENT groups that was a third party, they literally thought that we used our oral appliance, our device.
That is incredible.
And I'm like, no, that was from the pillow. And so it's, people were like, oh, you should make it FDA cleared. And I'm like, no, I don't need it FDA cleared because I want it to the masses. And when people are like, you're going to be the next My Pillow guy.
You are.
Well, I want it. That guy sold $300 million worth of pillows on his story.
He'll do $600 million.
Not that you agree with him or not.
Just
I think my partner and I have a great story. We're both military veterans. We're both trying to help.
Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you. And we're both trying to help people sleep better. And we're also going to be supporting veterans by donating pillows to active duty and veterans. It's going to be part of our brand.
Dr. Martin, not to interrupt, but what differentiates you is you actually went and solved a problem. I mean, Dr. Martin was very clear that when you sleep in a certain position, you close. He gave the analogy of this is your airway, and then when you lean back, that's your airway, no air. So how do you open that up? So the two things that are very crucial is one, making sure the jaw is shifted in the right place. Number two is positioning to help. So those two things in combination with the sleep apnea, do you think that brings a patient to a much better condition?
I do. I always equate snoring and sleep apnea to diabetes. There might not be a cure, but what do you do with diabetes? You mitigate symptoms. You can give someone GLP. You can diet, exercise. Well, with snoring and sleep apnea, it's CPAP. It's a device. It's a pillow. It's breathing exercises. It's the right supplement to take at night. It's sleep hygiene. Go to sleep. Regularity. You listen to Matthew Walker, who always talks about regularity is probably one of the most important things. So I think it's all these adjuncts. I love sleep. I'm really fortunate that I found this path. And
can you explain to us one more time how this works right here? Can you mind picking it up so they can see it? Let's see for the camera. So is there any way, Kevin, you can zoom in here? I want you to zoom in so you can see that.
So basically, a lot of the other devices have anchored people forward. Even our first device came with 3 lowers and it positioned someone forward. Our new device allows the connector to pull you forward. So we just refiled our patent and we're saying that our device is biomechanically auto-titratable. So for dentists watching, for hygienists watching, when someone has wear on their front teeth and they don't have a habit where they bite their fingernails or bite pens, they're doing CPR on themselves all night to keep their airway open. They're trying to get their tongue out of the back of their throat. Our device, it's not that you're going to anchor someone forward. It's just going to prevent your jaw from falling back. And that's really the key of so many of these devices.
From the jaw falling back.
Exactly. Now, unfortunately, some of the times the failure on this and CPAP is position, and that's why the development of the pillow came about.
Okay. So do you by chance have a pillow? Oh, no way. He has a pillow.
We do.
Now, I just how you describe this, show us, as if someone is laying, how would they position themselves?
So your head goes here, back here. We have a patent on the pillow because what I wanted to do is when we developed the pillow, I wanted to create a fulcrum so when your head goes down, the back part pops up and you can't roll on your back. So between the head and the back part is a chamber. So now our new version, you could kind of fill out. The biggest problem with our first version that I developed, I was thinking like an airway sleep person. The head part was propped up. We sold 1,000. We had 8 returns, which is great. All women, because the distance ear to shoulder, men and women, is different. So this is our new version. It's cooling. You could feel how cool that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the nicest pillow I've ever felt.
Yeah. And the nice thing is,
and your head would obviously go here.
Yeah, and you could see it here in the picture.
Yes.
Which I'd love.
There's a great example.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it functions.
Fits your body perfectly.
Yeah, and I have a kids version coming out next. Is great. So anyone 5 feet or below gets the kids version, and then the next thing is we're gonna have a dog version because I've given this thing to probably 10 of my friends. And now their dogs are sleeping on it.
That is
what
so
do people,
cool.
People spend money on their kids and their pets.
Yes, they do. I mean, so on the website, you can go online, you can scan the QR code to get your pillow so that you can open your airway better so you can sleep better. And remember, 1/3 of people do not sleep properly, right?
Absolutely.
Is it like 1/3 of people do not have the adequate sleeping care they should have?
Yeah.
I don't know, how many hours is it they should have a day?
I mean, you listen to people, Matthew, you listen to all these people, they say 7 to 9 hours. I probably get 6.
Okay.
I've hacked my
Well,
sleep.
you seem sharp as hell.
Well, I've hacked my sleep. I was snoring. I was tired. I needed coffee by 4 or 5 o'clock. I wear our device.
Okay.
I use our pillow. One of our chief medical officers for our pillow is a gentleman named Shane Criato. He's a psychiatrist out of Chicago. He developed an incredible supplement that I give to patients. So it has magnesium, ashwagandha, L-theanine, and GABA. It's awesome, right? Because everyone's taking all these supplements. A lot of people are taking melatonin, which it depends the dosage, and that could be a whole other podcast on that. But the nice thing about the pillow is it's easy.
Yes.
It's easy.
It's user-friendly.
You get it,
it's easy.
You get it out of the box. You know, the nice thing about for what we're doing, and we're a startup, is if you get 100 nights to sleep on the pillow, if you don't like it, we're not even going to take it back. We'll give you your money back. We just asked you to either give it to a friend that has a sleep issue or give it to a veteran that you know.
So just to clarify, did you hear that? What did you just say?
100 nights to sleep on it, and if you don't like it, we'll give you your money back, and you don't even need to send the pillow back.
You're not going to get that offer from any other pillow guy. Not even, what's his name? The guy, the sleep pillow guy, whatever his name is. You know, to go back, I want to go back and rewind just a little bit.
Sure.
You practiced so long as a dentist, and there's something fire in you that you saw that motivated you, that all the demonstrations that you gave as clear as day here, you saw something that really deeply moved you to want to head in this direction. Share with me something, a very personal story or patient example in which really stimulated this idea to where you had no stoppage. You were like, because you've been in the military, it's like when they go to boot camp, what made you not stop?
So I think a couple of things. I think I'm really fortunate that I found this path because I was in a great dental practice. I had a great team. I was really good at my job, but I worry, and I'm a worrier. And I grew up worrying. I have anxiety. I meditate, martial arts. I worried so much, Vin, that every night I'd go to sleep, I would wake up, I'd be like, all right, what if the temps weren't right? What if the patient didn't like the way the teeth look? I really was debilitated by it, physically and mentally. And I think that, you know, you hear dentists talk about burnout.
It was affecting your mental health.
It was. And my buddy Eric Block is an amazing dentist. He always talks about this. And I am telling you, for the last 3 years before I sold my practice to go back to school, I woke up every day and I hated going to work. And I faked
like
it.
Like 90% of Americans.
I faked it. And my patients were used to me being this bubbly, lively person, and I just had to walk in and fake it. And if I didn't find this path, and one of my mentors is a gentleman named Victor Abus, he's the one that kind of pointed out the airway stuff, I probably would have been a statistic. And so for me, I had a patient.
Thank you for opening up about that.
I had a patient that I treated that I remember I was jogging on the beach in Florida, and I got a phone call from a friend that a buddy of mine died, and he was 40, and I treated him at the office, and he had all the signs and symptoms, and every time I lecture, I always tell this story. He had all the signs and symptoms of someone with an airway and sleep issue. He snored, high blood pressure, acid reflux.
Okay.
But he also had severely worn down teeth, broken teeth, and his bite collapsed, and I treated his teeth. So the problem in medicine and dentistry is what? We treat symptoms. I missed his problem. So that really hit home for me. Then all of a sudden I started seeing it more and more. When I was in my orthodontic program, I had another patient, 50, same signs and symptoms as my buddy, died, heart failure. I knew the guy had sleep apnea when I
This is
treated
really
him.
punching home now.
Yeah,
This is really punching home.
I knew he had sleep apnea, and here's the problem. So he had all the signs and symptoms as my buddy, and when I told him to go get a sleep test, he never went. So the fact is, I said it before, it's a captive audience in dentistry. It's just, the thing is, these people still need dentistry. It needs to be better than the way that I did it. And I did dentistry at a high level then, but the problem is this. The best slide every time I lecture is the slide by Eleanor Roosevelt. Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. I have made a ton of mistakes, and I'm sitting up here telling you every time I lecture, I show my failures.
You don't have a successful practice for 25 years in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue in New York City with how many people there? With 12 million people?
No,
you had it, but there's something that you saw, and it's just so inspirational talking about mental health and sleep, the two things that really everybody has to do. Everybody has to sleep, and everyone has to have a good mental health. But there was something that took you that was so powerful and meaningful that moved you to the next direction.
Well, I think that I've always wanted to help people, and you hear it all the time. Like, why did you get into hygiene? Why did you get into dentistry? You want to help people. But the fact is, you also take an oath, and Michael Gell, my partner, always says, it's like, do no harm. The issue was, you don't know what you don't know, but you can't unsee the things once you see it. So I don't know if you remember in my PowerPoint, I put up the FedEx logo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the people watching,
yes.
The next time you look at the FedEx logo, there's a white arrow between the E and the X. So the only thing I see when I see the FedEx logo
is an arrow.
Is the arrow. And the other thing, the message to dentists and dentistry and hygiene is that when you see the things that we were talking about, the worn down teeth, the grinding, the clenching, just be curious. Ask questions about snoring and sleep apnea, because think about it. You're a hygienist, beyond successful. You do tons of amazing procedures. We are kind of in this space where we're like, we got to do a procedure, you got to do a procedure. But guess what happens in medicine? My primary care doctor, he doesn't do procedures. What does he do? He asks questions. He uses his brain. And I think that's where we need to go, of like root cause medicine. We can't just be like, here's a pill. Oh, your blood pressure's still high? Here's another pill. Rather than being like, why is that person's blood pressure high? And it's the same thing, clenching and grinding. The best analogy I can give is this. You're speeding down the highway and you go past the cop and you look in your rearview mirror and you see the lights on. What happens to your body? Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and you go into fight or flight. So the thing is, when we would see people that are clenching and grinding their teeth.
It's so weird you say that. Last night I got pulled over.
Oh, no, but you know what? Yesterday,
and everything you said happened. But my lights weren't on. That's hilarious.
But guess what? I was driving here yesterday, and as I got off, I went to Buc-ee's in Daytona Beach. I went past the cop going 60, and I like froze because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get pulled over.
Yeah, what happened?
But I did, luckily, but my body went into fight or flight.
Yes.
And think about how crappy that feels for 20 seconds. So someone with sleep apnea, that's 200 times a night. So in dentistry,
and you're not thinking right, by the way. When you are in flight mode, they say what, 90% of your cognitive ability is gone.
Exactly. So think about it. When your body's in fight or flight, it's the same thing when I shake hands with people and their fingers are cold and clammy. When your body's in fight or flight, it depletes blood flow and oxygen from your extremities, and it takes it to your vital organs, your heart and your brain. So that's why people, acid reflux sometimes, issues there, frequent urination, bedwetting in kids, the anxiety, right? So many people are anxious. I'm anxious, right? Every night at 3 a.m. I get up. It's a cortisol spike.
Understood. So what do you think, like, with being anxious? I'm anxious. I mean, here's these all these papers and stuff and going on, and every day I wake up, I'm like, my God, I got to get to work at this time, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and it's in our society, in our system, you know? But to do all these things, you have to be able to sleep well. You have to get rest. It's the only way your body can repair. It's the only way that your body can remember things. Am I wrong, doctor?
No, and you brought up a great point. So I said before about kids, and I always lecture to pediatric dentists, orthodontists, when you see a 12-year-old and they look like they're 6,
Yes.
they're not producing growth hormone. So they might not be getting into that stage of sleep before REM where you produce it. What do? Here's growth hormone injections. Rather than understanding maybe there's something going on with their airway and their sleep. And it might not be. It might be another issue. But in adults, like I said before, that's the reparative, that's the brain fog. And your lymphatic system, so not your lymphatic system, your lymphatic system is what drains the toxins out of your brain. That's why so many people have dementia, Alzheimer's, the brain fog. They're not getting into that stage of sleep where it's reparative. And it's reparative for your brain.
Yes, yes. So sleep disordered breathing in children are often overlooked or misdiagnosed. What are some of the early warning signs parents should be paying attention to that commonly get missed?
So I always say kids should be 3 things. And I'm not saying they have to be, but calm, quiet, and dry. So calm, no hyperactivity. Quiet, no loud breathing or snoring. And dry, no bedwetting or drool. So I was at an amazing lecture last night, Dr. Angela, the ENT here in Jacksonville.
Wow.
And she was talking about mouth breathing. And it's all the same things we're talking about. It's, people say, oh, my child clenches and grinds their teeth. They'll outgrow it. Well, not all the time they won't. So when I hear a kid that's grinding their teeth or snoring, my first referral is Angela. It's pediatric ENT. The second is orthodontist, because 51% of kids that get their tonsils and adenoids out still have an issue because embryologically your lower jaw grows after your upper jaw.
That's fascinating.
So a lot of them, it's just a matter of early intervention ortho. And it's me. I was that kid. I was 5'2" up until 12th grade of high school.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
really
5'11" now.
That's interesting. Up to 11 though.
Yeah, I was a terrible sleeper. I had allergies. I had all these issues. I had terrible ADD. I still do. I just happen to be able to hyper focus now. But the kids thing for me is a sweet spot because I was a sick kid that became a sick adult.
That's very fascinating. And your mission emphasizes quality of life, not just longevity. If listeners can make one change tonight to improve their sleep and overall health, what would you recommend and why?
I mean, that's tough. I would tell you it's 20 things, but...
Give me the 20 things.
Well, I would start with exactly what Matthew Walker always talks about, regularity. So try to go to sleep the same time and try to wake up the same time every day. A little bit hard sometimes when, you have a weekend.
Don't mean to interrupt, but Matthew Walker you've mentioned several times. Can you give us a clean, defining definition of this individual? It seems like
he
very
wrote a
important
book, Why We Sleep.
Why We Sleep.
And he's on
Matthew
podcasts
Walker.
and he's really kind of brought sleep into the mainstream as
how
one
did
of the
he
pillars.
do that? How did Matthew
Just
Walker
by
do that?
podcasts, books, getting out there, being on podcasts like this.
What's his main point?
Basically, sleep. If you look at the 3 pillars of health, it's diet, it's exercise, and sleep.
That's what LeBron James says. I listened to a whole podcast on how he said, if I do not sleep, and he says it's the center around his ability to perform at his highest ability, like Tom Brady, is sleep. Sleep. And he has it marked on the calendar, a time, and everything. So Matthew Walker, the author of that book.
He is, and Matthew Walker's great. There's a lot of great books. James Nestor wrote a great book called
James Nestor?
So my partner wrote a great book called Gasp. There's tons of it out there. It's it's now people are talking about it. Now the nice thing is, I think our pillow is a great thing because if I would argue that I don't care about other pillow companies, to me it's I could sleep on this floor and get a better night's sleep than if I slept in a $10,000 mattress on a regular pillow.
Did you hear that? That is when you need advice from a doctor. A $10,000 mattress is going to do more death to them. They're going to be possibly, they don't recognize these symptoms.
I think position is a big thing. So sleep on your left side if you have issues with acid reflux or you're pregnant. Right side if you have cardiovascular or heart issues. The other thing is, we talk about it, get off of your phone. So an hour before sleep, get off your iPad, get off your phone, stop. Because it's going to mess with your brain. And you're going to have anxiety if you are on social media.
You're thinking about things.
All the time. You're going to be anxious.
Stimulates you.
Exactly.
The light maybe?
So one of the people I was just at a longevity conference, and our chief medical officer introduced me to a guy named Barry Goldstein. He was a Grammy Award-winning producer. And he created something called acoustaceuticals. So basically what he did was he created a way to create music to help people fall asleep based on like their heart rate.
What?
It's amazing. And
that's so amazing.
I use it every night now. But the real
How do you access that? Just for our listener, how do you access that?
He's on YouTube.
YouTube.
And I could probably share
and his
the
name
link.
is
Barry Goldstein.
Barry Goldstein. Okay.
The other thing is where I really use it is if I wake up at 3, I put it on and it puts me back to sleep within like 3 or 4 minutes. It's great. So the digital detox thing is great. Regularity, like we were saying, go to bed and wake up the same time. Temperature is key. So go to sleep when it's cold, wake up when it's a little bit warmer. Ideal temperature around 67, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And I would tell you some of our adjuncts, especially if you're a little bit older, I think our device, it doesn't have to be for sleep apnea. I wear our device. I don't have sleep apnea. I just know that my jaw's not going to fall back.
Yes.
I use our pillow. I take the brain supplement. I use the acoustaceuticals.
And you mentioned the temperature, and this is a temperature. The pillow is cooling.
It is.
So that's a very important aspect of it.
And it's interesting. My partner, JD, he's a textile whiz. So it's not like we have any chemicals on the pillow. A lot of it is how the pillow and the materials are stitched. So
fascinating.
Women are always asking for a silk pillowcase. Ours is not silk. It feels like silk, but it's this cooling nylon. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. How long in your career as a dentist did you finally like that the lights went off in this department?
It took too long.
It's okay. It's okay. But
how
many years would you
I
say?
would say 20 years. 20 years. And I finally was realizing that so many of the cases that I treated, the patients weren't getting better, and I potentially made them worse without understanding I was making them worse.
You know, I have so much respect for you, Dr. Martin. So much respect. There are so many dentists that continue practicing for the money. You were obviously in Manhattan, in New York, on Fifth Avenue, and you had a successful practice. But something stopped. And when it stopped, you realized, hey, listen, I can't ignore and disvalue people's lives. There is a meaning of why we exist as human beings. You know what I mean? And that's incredible. So in 20th year, you were just like, the lights went on, right?
They did. And the other thing that's really interesting, I was at an event and Tucker Carlson was there. And he said something to me that really hit home for me, was that he has all these friends and he runs in a very big circle of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of wealthy people. And he said a lot of his friends sold companies for 50 million, 100 million, and they go hang out at the Four Seasons or the Ritz and they have breakfast and they play golf. And 6 months later, they're all depressed. They don't have purpose. So I think for me, waking up every day with the opportunity to help people sleep and not just live longer, but live better is an amazing purpose. And you have it, obviously, from talking to you and what you're doing and kind of get the word out.
I don't have it. I'm working on it. I know that mental health is so important. I know it's so important because every day people struggle with it. I ask patients all the time, how are you doing? I'm depressed. I'm overworked. I feel this. I'm grinding my teeth to death. I'm this. You've heard it all. I mean, life is hard. Yeah. It's hard. And so you're solving a third of what someone does. I mean, they spend almost half their life or a third of their life sleeping, right?
They do. And getting back to the point of the mental health, I have a friend who's going through AA, and I went to a meeting with him. I've never been. I read a book, Wayne Dyer would always talk about that. He would go to AA meetings, and not just for the mental part and listening and seeing how people are relentless and how they've overcome a lot of their struggles and substance abuse. And it was amazing being in that meeting. And I watched the guy who was saying that he was at Thanksgiving and, his cousin's successful and he's not as successful. And he was comparing himself to his cousin and he really felt anxious and he started getting depressed. And it's hard not to do those things.
Well,
you know?
it is. I mean, I have friends, family members going on today as we speak on the New York Stock Exchange. Their company is going public, and you know what? I'm content and I'm happy, and I feel like I'm in a better place talking to you, Dr. Martin, because I mean that company, whatever it does, but it's not saving lives. Moving heavy equipment around is great, and we're getting more buildings, but it's not saving people's lives. You are saving people's lives, and you're implementing two things that really could save thousands and millions of people's lives by getting their airway like this, not like this.
Yeah,
Right.
and you know, the other thing is I work with some incredible physicians. I really do. To me, I'm just supporting them, and I have a physician, a pulmonologist named Mark Benton that I just started working with, who is a little bit older, but really out of the box thinker. And he realizes that the sleep thing is so important, and me being able to support him and support his patients, I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, I have great products, and I think that we have a way to help a lot of these physicians treat their patients with so many of the comorbidities that we're seeing every day, the diabetes, the heart failure, the hypertension.
Key. Those three things, you see those things, you address those things. Dr. Martin, I can't thank you enough. You have reminded us that sleep isn't a luxury. It's a foundation. You know, to our listeners, if this episode resonates to you, share it with someone who says, you know, I'll sleep when I'm done. This has been Angels and Demons Podcast. We'll see you next time. Dr. Martin, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Angels and demons fighting in the deep end. I turn all my weakness into something I believe in. Every scar, every doubt, that's fuel when I speak. Welcome to the battle where the broken get free. Yeah.